So joining me now from the Rebel News Satellite HQ in Ottawa is one of my favorite people, one of the hardest working new journalists in Canada, Celine Gallus. Celine, thanks so much for coming on the show. You're on a break from the Public Order Emergency Commission, what we're calling the Trucker Commission. You can see all of Celine's work at truckercommission.com. As I said, we're on a lunch break, so we're going to make this tight and tidy because Celine also still has to eat and then run down the street and get back to the commission. Celine, I wanted to ask you, because you've been in there, this is your second, I think, full week of being inside the commission building. You're with the other journalists. What's the feel in the room with the other journalists? I like being in rooms with other journalists because I feel like my mere presence makes them uncomfortable. What's it like? Are they listening, or are they the kind of people that you can tell where they stand just by watching them and their body language?
Absolutely, you can. It's very apparent. And it was particularly very apparent when the convoy, the representative, let's say the volunteers, there's a lot of stigma against, labeling people as leaders when there was no leaders of this convoy. But primarily when they were when they were giving their testimonies, people would start laughing in the room, or if someone was especially emotional, then they would just laugh or make catty comments and gossip in the room. Like, it was very, I was surprised. There's two people from the commission that sit at the back of the room, and I suppose they should be there to kind of monitor that the rules and regulations of the room in terms of keeping volume down, phone volume low, etc., are being met. But no one has said anything. And they definitely know who we are. So you're right. I do like working in that room because when we walk in, the Rebel crew, everyone kind of just, they do their turns and I do the hair flip, and then I just take my seat and I start working. So it's very good in that regard. But it is apparent, Sheila. You can definitely see where they stand, and you can see the consistent narrative that they choose to project. There's been some recent, you've seen the CTV articles that have been released, et cetera, and their narrative is now changing because everything in the commission that's coming out points to the fact that these were not misogynist domestic terrorists with this crazy agenda to, hold a insurrection in the capital of Canada. But in fact, they were just a bunch of people fed up with the unjust COVID mandates and restrictions. And now they're starting to be like, it seems like due to all the testimonies, we probably shouldn't have made fun of them and called them terrorists and followed in the steps of Prime Minister Trudeau. So that's about it from that perspective.
Just to go back a second, you belong in that room more than those other journalists do. Sure, they're the fancy mainstream journalists, but they get all their money from Justin Trudeau. That's how they work. That's how they get paid. But you went on the convoy all the way to Ottawa. You and Mocha followed the convoy. You were on the ground there. You were reporting from inside of the convoy. Some of my favorite footage from the convoy is yours. Alexa's is sort of some of the most shocking, but yours was the most fun. You were dancing in the streets with the convoyers. I guess it's sort of hard not to get caught up in it, but you belong in that room. And secondarily, about your comments about, Justin Trudeau labeling people misogynists and then the mainstream media following along, I would suggest that people snickering and laughing as a Métis grandmother testifies to just the sheer emotional and, quite frankly, physical toll of spending 49 days in jail for being a part of the convoy. Those people are the misogynist racists, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it's pretty apparent. There's this weird air of confusion in the room where, I'm sitting there and I believe that we're all listening to the same testimonies, that we're all listening to the same truth, the grounded truth that is reality. And yet the differences in the reactions are just, it's honestly appalling. Like, there's two tables that, we haven't claimed by any actual means of labeling it as our tables, but everybody sits primarily in the same place in the room. And you can see, like, we remain silent. Like, there's not much that we talk about, perhaps except for the instance that it is Miller time, of course, because that's the time that we all look forward to. But sitting there and listening to these testimonies, you think, okay, yeah, we're all here. We're listening to the same thing. Everything's occurring at the same time. But all of a sudden, the room will erupt in laughter because they'll start making fun of the people. That, like you premised, was Tamara giving her testimony. This grandma that has stood up and become the face of this movement, so to speak, and not self-proclaimed, but just as people have seen her to be. And it's really gross. For instance, when we had that senior commission council lawyer that passed out the other day, we don't know the details of why, but I was in the room and I actually watched it happen. We had it was someone from mainstream media that ran into the room, and it is absolute no at all times. You do not pull your cell phone out and start trying to snap pictures at any time in the actual commission room. He was there with his phone up, trying to get a shot. And immediately the security in the room was like, why, like, what are you doing? Why are you taking photos? I'm not taking photos of the body, nothing. So when we went back into the room, I piped up in front of everyone and I said, hey, just so that we're clear, you're not going to post any of those photos, right? And, he looked a little bit embarrassed and he was like, oh no, like, I would never do that. And I said, well, then why were you trying to take photos? And he just laughed behind his mask. And that was pretty much the end of our interaction. But it just goes to show you that they're like, I didn't even tweet about it, Sheila, because it's so personal. I didn't know what happened. I didn't know why he fell. And it was, my gosh, it was pretty emotional to see everyone in the room just, hone in. It wasn't something that anyone expected to see. And his first instinct was to try and take a photo of it. It's so different from the journalism that we provide to people. It's really shocking that they've been labeled as media. And that's what people have been led to believe is real media for all these years.
Oh, hey, what you just saw there is a clip from my weekly full-length show, The Gun Show. It airs on Wednesday, but this is the internet. You can watch it whenever you feel like. You just have to become a subscriber to our paywalled premium content. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com to become a member today.